Maya Rodriguez was 22, fresh out of college with a degree in communications, and absolutely zero qualifications to represent the human race in galactic diplomacy. But here's the thing about bureaucratic mix-ups: they don't care about your qualifications. The Galactic Peace Council had meant to invite Dr. Maya Ramirez, Earth's leading xenobiologist and the one human who actually knew what a Zephyrian greeting tentacle was supposed to do. Instead, they got Maya Rodriguez, who thought xenobiology was probably some kind of trendy diet. Oh my God, I won a space contest. Maya had squealed when the holographic invitation materialized in her studio apartment. The translation software had helpfully rendered the formal diplomatic summons as congratulations. You've been selected for an all-expenses-paid galactic cruise. Meanwhile, 3 star systems away, Ambassador Quellex was having what his species called a nervous gullification. His translucent, jellyfish-like body was literally vibrating with anxiety as he read the updated delegate roster. A Deathworlder, he whispered to his aide, his voice bubbling like carbonated water. They actually invited a Deathworlder to the Peace Summit. Do you know what these creatures are capable of? They climb mountains for entertainment. They consume poison for pleasure and call it spicy food. They literally box each other as a recreational activity. His aide, a smaller jellyfish creature, trembled in response. Perhaps it's a mistake, Ambassador. Oh, it's a mistake, all right, Quellex gurgled. The mistake of the millennium. But Maya was already packing. She'd stuffed her suitcase with what she considered essential diplomatic supplies: granola bars, hand sanitizer, her lucky socks, and a selfie stick, because when will I ever get to take pictures with aliens again? She'd also brought gifts, because her mother had raised her right. A bag of her grandmother's homemade salsa, some locally sourced honey, and a collection of Earth's greatest hits on an old USB drive. Because nothing says peaceful intentions like sharing your planet's cultural treasures, right? The transport ship arrived exactly on schedule, piloted by a nervous Centaurian who kept his distance and spoke only in clipped, professional tones. Maya didn't notice his terror. She was too busy pressed against the viewport, taking blurry photos of nebulae and genuinely asking if they could make a quick stop at Saturn, because the rings look so pretty from here. As they approached the Peace Summit station, Maya was practically bouncing in her seat. This is better than Disney World. Do you think they have a gift shop? I want to get my mom a t-shirt. The pilot's only response was a strangled whimper. In 6 hours, the most feared species in the galaxy would be attending the most important diplomatic gathering in centuries, and she wanted souvenirs. The Peace Summit was being held aboard Harmony's Whisper, a station so luxurious it made 5-star hotels look like truck stops. Everything was designed for maximum diplomatic comfort: soft lighting, soothing colors, and furniture that automatically adjusted to each species' physiological needs. Maya stepped off the transport and immediately started taking pictures of everything. Oh wow, is that marble? It looks like marble, but it's probably some kind of space marble, right? This is so cool. Ambassador Quellex watched her arrival from behind a reinforced viewing panel, his gelatinous form quivering with each of her enthusiastic gestures. Next to him stood Chancellor Blix, a bird-like creature whose feathers were currently puffed out in alarm, and General Toom, who looked like a very angry, very large slug wearing military decorations. Look at her, Chancellor Blix squawked, his voice sharp and aristocratic. She's documenting our defensive positions. Classic Deathworlder reconnaissance tactics. She's taking selfies, General Thune rumbled, his voice like gravel in a blender, clearly establishing her dominance through image warfare. Maya bounced up to the reception desk, completely oblivious to the fact that the staff had retreated to what they considered a safe distance. Hi, I'm Maya Rodriguez. I'm here for the space peace thingy. This place is amazing. Do you guys have Wi-Fi? The Andromedan receptionist, speaking from behind 3 layers of protective barriers, stammered out directions to her quarters. Maya thanked her profusely and headed off, then stopping every few feet to examine some new architectural detail or attempt to pet what she assumed were decorative plants but were actually highly sophisticated security drones. Her first diplomatic meet and greet was scheduled for that evening. Maya showed up in her best dress, carrying a plate of her grandmother's cookies, ready to make friends with the galaxy. Ambassador Quillex approached first, his diplomatic training overriding his survival instincts. "Greetings, Representative Rodriguez. Welcome to Harmony's Whisper." "Oh my gosh, you can talk. I mean, of course you can talk, but your voice is so cool. It's like bubble wrap but musical." Maya beamed at him. "Would you like a cookie?" "They're chocolate chip." Quillex's entire body recoiled. You're offering me processed earth vegetation? With mind-altering chemicals?" "It's just sugar and chocolate," Maya laughed. "Oh wait, are you diabetic? I should have asked about food allergies first. My bad." "My bad." The Chancellor Blix swooped in, his diplomatic feathers practically bristling with nervous energy. "Representative Rodriguez, perhaps we could discuss Earth's intentions regarding galactic expansion." Maya blinked. "Expansion? Oh, you mean like colonizing Mars?" "Yeah, that's pretty cool. We've got some people living there now. Super brave folks. I could never do it, though. I get homesick staying at my cousin's house for a weekend." The three aliens exchanged terrified glances. Casual interplanetary colonization. Just as they'd feared. "And what does your species consider recreational activities?" General Doom asked, his voice carefully controlled. "Oh, tons of stuff. Hiking, swimming, rock climbing, bungee jumping, skydiving, martial arts tournaments, eating contests." Maya was counting on her fingers, completely missing the way all three aliens were slowly backing away from her. "Eating contests," Quillex whispered. "Yeah, like who can eat the most hot dogs or the spiciest peppers. Last year my friend Jake ate a Carolina Reaper and cried for like an hour. It was hilarious." The silence that followed was the kind of silence that usually precedes either a funeral or a declaration of war. The next morning's formal negotiation session was where things really went sideways. Maya arrived early, having set up a little snack station because meetings are always better with food, right? The negotiation chamber was a masterpiece of diplomatic architecture, designed to make everyone feel equal and comfortable. Maya had improved it by adding paper plates, plastic cups, and a handwritten sign that said "Help yourself." Ambassador Quillex entered first, took one look at the spread, and immediately began what could only be described as hyperventilating in jellyfish. She's deployed chemical weapons." "Those are nachos," Maya said cheerfully. "And salsa. My grandma's recipe. It's only medium spicy, I promise." Chancellor Blix peered at the colorful display with the wariness of someone approaching an active bomb. "What exactly constitutes medium spicy by Deathworlder standards?" "Oh, probably like a 3 out of 10? Maybe 4. I brought the mild stuff because I wasn't sure about alien taste buds." General Toom, who prided himself on his military courage, decided to test the human's mild offering. He dipped one tentacle into the salsa and brought it to his mouth. The sound he made was somewhere between a foghorn and a dying whale. His entire slug-like body turned bright purple, then green, then a color that didn't have a name in any known language. Emergency medical teams were called. Diplomatic immunity was invoked. The peace talks nearly ended before they began. "Is he okay?" Maya asked, genuinely concerned. "Should I get him some milk? Milk helps with spicy food." "Mild?" General Thum gasped between medical treatments. "That was your mild?" "Well, yeah, the hot stuff would probably..." "Oh, but... Oh no, did I accidentally poison him?" The medical team confirmed that General Thum would survive, but his taste buds would never be the same. Maya spent the rest of the morning apologizing profusely, offering to pay for medical bills and asking if she should call his family. The other delegates interpreted her concern as psychological warfare. "Look how she feigns innocence," Chancellor Blix whispered to Quilex. "It's classic Deathworlder manipulation tactics." "And she's offering to contact his family," Quilex replied, trembling. "She's making threats against his relatives." When the formal negotiations finally began, Maya tried her best to follow along. The discussion was about establishing new trade routes through disputed space, but Maya kept getting distracted by what she assumed were cultural differences. "Sorry, quick question," she interrupted during a heated exchange about mining rights. "When you say obliterate the competition, do you mean that literally, or is that like a business expression? Because on Earth we say stuff like kill it when we mean do really well, but I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly." The room fell silent. Ambassador Quilex's transparency took on a distinctly greenish hue. "We were discussing market strategies," Chancellor Blix said carefully. "Oh good. Yeah, competition is healthy. Keeps everyone on their toes. Speaking of which, I noticed there's this really pretty banner thing in the lobby. What's that about?" If the room had been silent before, it now achieved a level of quiet usually associated with the vacuum of space. Every alien eye, tentacle, and optical sensor focused on Maya with the intensity of a small star. "You noticed the war banner of Kethmori?" General Thum croaked, his voice still raspy from the salsa incident. "Is that what it's called? It's gorgeous. The craftsmanship is incredible. Is it like a historical artifact or something?" 3 different species simultaneously began praying to their respective deities. Here's the thing about ancient galactic artifacts. They tend to have very specific rules about who can touch them. The war banner of Kethmori had been sitting in its display case for 800 years, untouched and largely forgotten. A relic from the old days when disputes were settled through trial by combat rather than strongly worded diplomatic protests. Maya had wandered back to look at it after lunch, genuinely curious about the intricate metalwork and the way the fabric seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. The information plaque was written in 17 different languages, but Maya's translation app only recognized 3 of them. And those 3 were apparently having an argument about whether the word death should be translated as mild inconvenience or temporary setback. "It really is beautiful," she murmured, reaching out to get a closer look at the weaving technique. The moment her finger touched the fabric, several things happened simultaneously. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed everything in ominous red. And somewhere in the depths of the station's computer core, an ancient protocol that hadn't been activated since the Kethmori Empire began executing its code. Maya jerked her hand back, looking around in confusion. "Did I break something? Oh God, I broke something, didn't I? I'm so sorry." "Me?" Ambassador Quilex arrived first, took one look at the scene, and immediately began the jellyfish equivalent of a panic attack. His translucent body was pulsing through colors that didn't exist in normal space-time. "She's claimed it," he whispered. "The Deathworlder has claimed the war banner." "I didn't claim anything," Maya protested. "I was just looking. I'll pay for it if I broke it. I have insurance." Chancellor Blix swooped in, his feathers now standing completely on end. "Insurance? She's already planning the reconstruction costs. The systematic nature of her conquest strategy is terrifying." General Thum arrived with a full security detail, all of whom stopped at what they clearly considered a safe distance from Maya. "Representative Rodriguez, do you understand what you've done?" "Apparently I touched something I shouldn't have. Look, I'm really sorry. My mom always told me not to touch things in museums, but I thought this was just decorative and I wanted to see how they did the stitching and—" "The war banner of Kethmori." General Thum interrupted, his voice grave, "can only be claimed by one who intends to lead their species in galactic conquest. By touching it. What? You have invoked the ancient laws of trial by combat. You must now prove humanity's right to rule through single combat against the galaxy's greatest warriors." Maya stared at him. I'm sorry, what now? Combat, Chancellor Blix repeated. Mortal combat. Against champions representing every major species in the galaxy. Winner takes all. Loser dies horribly. But I don't want to take all. I just wanted to see the pretty banner. The aliens exchanged glances. Ambassador Quilex spoke up, his voice quavering like disturbed gelatin. Representative Rodriguez, surely you're not suggesting that humanity would claim the banner of ultimate galactic dominion as a mere aesthetic appreciation? That's exactly what I'm suggesting. It's really pretty. The colors are amazing and the metalwork is incredible, and I just wanted to know what technique they used for the braiding. Another silence fell over the group. Then Chancellor Blix began laughing. It was not a pleasant sound, like wind chimes made of screams. Of course, he said. Of course, that's what she'd say. The psychological complexity is staggering. She claims artistic interest while simultaneously triggering the most aggressive expansion protocol in galactic history. Humanity's strategic thinking is beyond our comprehension. I don't have any strategic thinking, Maya said desperately. I can barely plan what to have for lunch. Modest, too, General Thum noted grimly. It's classic Deathworlder misdirection. Throughout the station, emergency broadcasts were going out to every corner of the galaxy. The war banner had been claimed. The trials would begin in 24 hours. And somehow, someway, humanity had just declared its intention to conquer everything. Maya, meanwhile, was still trying to figure out if there was a customer service desk where she could file a complaint about misleading museum displays. The combat arena had been hastily constructed in the station's main hangar bay, because apparently the galaxy kept the blueprints for ancient trial by combat arenas on file for just such occasions. Maya thought this said something troubling about galactic priorities, but she was trying not to judge. She'd spent the previous evening trying to explain that she didn't actually want to fight anyone, let alone conquer the galaxy, but every attempt at clarification seemed to make things worse. When she'd suggested they could just put the banner back and pretend none of this happened, Ambassador Quilex had nearly jellified himself to death laughing. She wants us to believe, he'd gasped between hysterical quivers, that humanity would simply abandon a claimed conquest. The psychological warfare is magnificent. Now Maya stood in the center of the arena, wearing her lucky socks and a borrowed set of protective gear that was apparently the closest thing they had to human-sized armor. It looked like she was wearing a tent made of bubble wrap. First challenger, the announcer's voice boomed, representing the warrior caste of the Draknari Empire, Champion Vex Thor the Unstoppable. A creature that looked like what would happen if a gorilla and a rhinoceros had a baby stepped into the arena. It was roughly 12 feet tall, covered in natural armor plating, and had fists the size of small cars. It also looked very, very angry. Maya waved at it. Hi, I'm Maya. I really don't want to fight you, but apparently I don't have a choice. So, sorry in advance. Vex Thor the Unstoppable responded by charging directly at her with the subtlety of a freight train. Maya's response was purely instinctual. She did what any reasonable person would do when a giant alien monster was charging at them. She ran away screaming. This turned out to be, quite accidentally, the perfect strategy. Vex Thor had trained his entire life to fight opponents who would stand their ground and attempt to match his strength. He had never encountered an enemy whose opening gambit was to sprint away while yelling, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, this is how I die." He overshot his charge, crashed into the arena wall, and knocked himself unconscious. The crowd fell silent. Maya stopped running and looked back. Is he okay? Should someone call a medic? Brilliant. Chancellor Blix squawked from the VIP viewing area. She lured him into overextending himself. The tactical genius is unprecedented. I just ran away, Maya said into her helmet's microphone. That's not tactics, that's panic. Feigned panic, General Thum corrected. Notice how she immediately shows concern for her defeated opponent, psychological dominance combined with mercy. Humanity's warfare philosophy is terrifyingly sophisticated. The second challenger was a Zephyrian master of combat teleportation. Maya couldn't see where the attacks were coming from, so she just kept spinning around trying to watch all directions at once. This accidentally created a defensive pattern that perfectly countered the Zephyrian's strike rhythm. When the alien fighter materialized for his final attack, Maya was facing the wrong direction and instinctively ducked to avoid what she thought was a low-hanging light fixture. The Zephyrian sailed over her head and landed in the arena's energy barrier, which politely but firmly ejected him from the combat zone. The misdirection was flawless, Ambassador Quillex observed, his voice filled with horrified admiration. She appeared to be disoriented and defensive, then executed a perfect evasion counter at precisely the right moment. I thought I was going to hit my head on something, Maya protested. The third challenger lasted exactly 15 seconds, but because Maya had developed hiccups from stress and the rhythmic sound apparently triggered some kind of primal fear response in the Andromedan warrior caste. By the time she faced the fifth and final champion, Maya had developed something of a reputation. The betting pools had her at even odds despite the fact that she'd spent most of each fight either running away or apologizing. The final challenger was champion Zarkoth, representing the Void Hunters, who were apparently the most feared warriors in galactic history. Zarkoth looked like what nightmares would have nightmares about, all shadows and teeth and things that moved in ways that hurt to look at. Champion Maya of the Deathworld Terra, Zarkoth spoke, its voice like whispers in an empty tomb. You have fought with honor and cunning. I offer you the warrior's greeting. Maya, who had been taught to be polite to everyone regardless of species, walked over and stuck out her hand. Nice to meet you. Maya Rodriguez. You can just call me Maya. Zarkoth looked down at her outstretched hand for a long moment. Then, to everyone's amazement, the galaxy's most feared warrior began laughing. It was like the sound of distant thunder, but somehow warm. In 800 years, Zarkoth said, no challenger has ever offered to shake hands before combat. You truly are like no warrior we have ever faced. I'm not really a warrior, Maya said. I mean, I took a self-defense class in college, but I mostly just learned how to yell fire really loud. Zarkoth's laughter grew louder. And there it is. The Deathworlder shows respect to her enemy, claims no false prowess, and admits to strategies we cannot fathom. I concede this combat, Champion Maya. The galaxy is yours. But we haven't even fought yet. Any species that can produce a warrior who defeats enemies through compassion and honesty, Zarkoth said solemnly, is not a species that needs to prove itself through violence. The banner is yours by right of superior philosophy. Maya looked around the arena at thousands of aliens all staring at her in what appeared to be a mixture of terror and awe. But I really don't want to conquer anybody. Standing in the center of the arena, holding the war banner of Keth Mori while thousands of aliens waited to hear humanity's demands for galactic conquest, Maya Rodriguez had what might generously be called an epiphany, or what might more accurately be described as a complete mental breakdown. Okay, she said into the arena's sound system. I think we need to have a serious talk here. The crowd leaned forward. Across the galaxy, emergency war councils held their breath. On Earth, nobody had any idea what was happening because Maya had forgotten to text her mom that she'd be late getting home. I know you all think I'm some kind of strategic genius, Maya continued, but I need to be really clear about something. I am not smart enough to have a secret plan. I can barely remember to pay my credit card bill on time. I once got lost in my own apartment building because I got off the elevator on the wrong floor and didn't notice for 20 minutes. Ambassador Quillex translated this for his aide, as she's revealing the extent of humanity's infiltration capabilities. And I know you think humans are these terrifying Deathworld warriors, but honestly, most of us are just trying to get through the day without spilling coffee on ourselves. Like, yeah, we do dangerous stuff sometimes. But usually it's because we're bored or curious or someone dared us to do it. We're not strategic. We're just really bad at risk assessment. Chancellor Blix nodded knowingly. Classic misdirection. She's making them sound harmless right before the conquest demands. Maya looked down at the war banner in her hands. It really was beautiful, all silver and gold with threads that seemed to capture starlight. Here's the thing about this banner. You guys are treating it like it's some kind of weapon, but it's not. It's art. Someone spent months, maybe years, creating something beautiful. And then you locked it away where no one could appreciate it because you were afraid of what it represented. She looked up at the viewing areas where all the dignitaries sat. But what if it doesn't have to represent war? What if it could represent something else? General Thune leaned forward. Here it comes, he thought. The terms of surrender. I want to give this back to you, Maya said. All of you. Not as a symbol of conquest, but as a symbol of what we can create when we work together instead of fighting each other. Because honestly, the galaxy is big enough for all of us, and there's so much cool stuff we could do if we stopped being afraid of each other. The silence that followed was different from all the previous silences. This one wasn't filled with terror or anticipation. It was filled with something much more dangerous possibility. I hereby declare, Maya said, raising the banner above her head, that humanity's official position on galactic conquest is that it sounds like way too much paperwork. Instead, we'd like to be friends, we can share snacks, you can teach us about your cultures. And maybe together we can figure out how to make the galaxy a little bit better for everyone. She paused, then added, also, I'm really sorry about the salsa thing, General Thune. I brought some antacids if you want them. The crowd erupted. Not in celebration or panic, but in confusion. This wasn't how galactic conquest was supposed to work. There were protocols, procedures, established ways of doing things. You couldn't just declare friendship instead of dominion. Could you? We. Ambassador Quillex was having what might charitably be called an existential crisis. She's actually being sincere, isn't she? Chancellor Blix's feathers had slowly settled back to their normal position. I think she actually means it. General Thune was the first to stand up in the viewing area. His voice, still a bit hoarse from the salsa incident, carried clearly across the arena. On behalf of the Slugaran Military Council, I accept humanity's offer of friendship. And yes, I would like those antacids. The laughter started small, just a few beings here and there, but it spread like a wave through the arena. Soon, thousands of aliens were laughing together, and Maya found herself laughing too, even though she wasn't entirely sure what was funny. The peace treaty that followed was the most comprehensive in galactic history, mostly because Maya kept asking questions like, but what about trade routes? And who's going to clean up all the space junk? And do you guys have any environmental protection laws? By the time she was finished, they'd accidentally solved most of the galaxy's major political problems. Maya returned to Earth 3 weeks later with a treaty that established humanity as the galaxy's official mediators, a position that apparently came with excellent health benefits and unlimited vacation time. She also had 17 different alien pen pals, a recipe for Zephyrian tea that was supposedly very good for headaches, and a standing invitation to General Thune's daughter's wedding. Her mom's reaction to finding out her daughter had accidentally become Earth's most important diplomat was exactly what you'd expect. That's nice, dear. Did you remember to pack enough underwear? The war banner of Keth Mori now hangs in the newly established Galactic Friendship Center, where it serves as a reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon in the universe is the simple act of treating others with kindness and respect. Also, they have a really good gift shop now. Maya got her mom that t-shirt after all.